about that.
Yeah.
My apologies.
That's okay. I was like, what? I thought it was my side. I was like, oh, what did I do wrong?
No, it's always usually me. I'm always like, I never know, like, I don't know. My settings are always different because I use this Zoom app, same Zoom app to like talk to my counselors. So my background is usually blurred and
Yeah.
I have to change my settings like every time, but how are you?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
Doing good on this Monday night, I guess. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a holiday, but everything's closed up. So got a
Yeah.
little work done today around the house and got to do some stuff. How about you?
Well, we planned to go to Oceans of Fun, but that was a failed that plan. It didn't go through. So we got the doggy pool and filled it up and put it out back, and my kids played in that for a while. So it didn't go exactly as planned. It was really hot today and just kind of muggy, I think, from all the rain that's been happening.
I think it's supposed to be hot. Like it's probably going to be hot like every day for a while.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we're going to try to execute that plan another day this week.
Yeah. I don't blame you.
Yeah. So that was pretty much what we spent most of our day trying to accomplish until we gave up. And then we got shakes too when we gave up. So
I'm so glad my kids are grown, man. It's so much easier. Oh,
yeah,
I mean, I enjoyed it, but it's over. So
yes. How, and can you remind, I know you have a son, right?
I have 4 kids.
4 kids. Okay.
Yeah, I have 2 sons, 2 daughters. I have a 30-year-old daughter. That's hard to say, but I do. And I have a 27-year-old daughter, a 25-year-old son, and a 23-year-old son, and 5 grandchildren.
Yes, that's right. I remember. Yes. Yeah.
I know.
Oh, by the way, Duane Michaels, nice. It's good to have you on tonight. Just to say who you are, and we'll get into more. But yeah, so 5 grandkids. Yeah, that's does that feel good though?
It's first of all, it's weird even saying that because I still feel like I've always felt like a kid. I never grow up, but no, it's wonderful. It's one of the coolest things to be a grandpa. You get to. My grandmother was amazing, and I'm just kind of modeling myself after kind of the way she was to me. So, oh no, it's wonderful. We have good times. It just brings me back to when my kids are small, so I don't have to go back. I just live vicariously through them. These little kids. So it's fun though.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably good that you are still in touch with your, child, so that your inner child, just because and that you haven't lost that. I think it's a great characteristic to have when you are just around kids in general. And so I think I bet your grandkids love that. So
Well, it reminds me of I don't want to even ask how old you are. I know you're younger than me. That commercial with the Toys R Us. The words of the song are pretty much that's what I grew up with. I'm never going to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid.
Toys R Us kid. Yeah.
That's literally that's the truth. I mean, I don't know if it's just my generation, but I just feel like people that I know that I grew up with, we all kind of have that mentality. Like we'll stop and look at each other and go, man, we're old, and like, I know it's crazy. Where did the time go? But we laugh and we joke like kids. I mean, I still have friends that I grew up with. It's really nice. So
that's really nice. I have a few friends that I grew up with, and there is something really, I don't know, you have that just life experience with that person and those stories to share, and that growth to share. I guess that goes into a little bit one of my first questions for you. tell me about where, because I know you lived in California, but I'm just curious, tell me about where, like just growing up and childhood, like where you grew up and kind of, and then adolescence, I guess.
Yeah, I was born in South Lake Tahoe. It's if for those that are not familiar with South Lake Tahoe, it's right on the. I mean, you literally cross the traffic light and you're in Nevada. So it's California side I lived on, and you cross the traffic light. There's casinos and stuff, and that's the Nevada side. So there's a California side, Nevada side. I live on the California side growing up, and I was the only child, and yeah, mom and dad till I was about 14. Mom and dad decided to separate and break up and divorce and all that stuff, like a lot of parents do. And they went separate ways. So I kind of like floated back and forth. My dad lived over here in California, and then my mom lived over here in California. They just kind of all over California. And then eventually, my mother would join the military, and I would follow her around and follow my dad around. So I was just around a lot. So the unfortunate part was, I remember my 8th grade year, I actually did 8th grade 3 times until I finally graduated because I had missed so much school, and I mean, my parents did the best they could at the time. And I basically was a little rambunctious kid. I'd go out, stay out late, do what I wanted. And I used to get in trouble. And I wasn't an easy kid to have. And it was just, I think it was because my parents divorced, I was kind of rebelling at that point. So being a father, that was one thing I always set in my mind was we're not moving. I don't care where we're at. We're staying there. So we moved, but not very much, nothing like what I did when I was a kid. So I think that made my kids a little more stable life than I had when I was a kid. So I think that's what you want when you're a parent. You want a better life for your kid, so. But I
Yeah,
grew up in
I can
California.
relate
I
to
moved
that.
around. Moved around a lot of states and stuff as a kid, and just kind of, being a single or yeah, being a single parent. My mother, we had struggles, and it made me who I am today, and learned a lot. My mother was great. Sadly, I lost her a couple years ago, but
I'm
you know
sorry.
that's okay. That's okay. Um, it is tough, but she taught me a lot, and it's not her death is not going to be in vain. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I moved around a lot as a kid. That was basically the theme of my childhood was
Yeah.
moving.
I can relate to that. We moved around a lot too. I had a single mom. I think we got to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah,
How
yeah,
our backgrounds were a little bit similar. And but yeah, I experienced that too. And it's interesting because I see where it definitely benefited me and has benefited me. I can just about talk to anybody, and
yeah.
um, sometimes I think it challenged me to really define who I was rather than letting every group define who I was.
Mhm.
So I think that was my biggest learning curve into adulthood and really knowing who I am. But in a lot of ways, I am grateful, even though I moved a lot, to have those lifelong friendships. Because I think those were some of my constants. I don't know about for you, definitely within my family too. But yeah, it is tough to move a lot. I didn't do well in school. I had below average grades, C's and D's were kind of the name
I
of
thought
my,
they invented a whole new grade for me because there were I's.
oh God.
Incomplete. I didn't even stay in school long enough to even get a grade half the
Oh
time.
no.
So no,
Yeah.
I was never really good at school. There was times when I was good. I think I was a smart kid. I think I was just
Yeah.
was
Same.
rebelling. And
I'm incredibly smart too. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like if we all wish we could go back and do things over again, but would we really end up where we're at now? So I mean, like you said, I think being a only child, my mom was single parent, and the struggles that we had, and it made me and I had imaginary friends, and I talked to myself. I could make up stories in my head. I mean, it made me very creative. And you don't see that a lot in kids nowadays. They have to have the remote in their hand or the phone. But when we were younger, we had to create things ourselves. And I think that helped me a lot. It definitely helped me a lot with being an actor later. So,
Yeah. So when you found yourself out of school, you graduate high school, all of that, where are you at that point in your life?
yeah. So I joined right before or right when I got out of school. I was working for a radio station. I was a radio DJ, and I was doing it when I was in high school, just as kind of like an internship. And right when I got out of high school, I decided to do it full time. I wanted to be this big DJ, and so I did. I was a radio DJ for about 3 years, and I went to a couple different radio stations, but I enjoyed it. I was Michael McCoy, and then life got things happen in life where you have responsibilities. I had a child when I was young. I was 21, and my child, who's now 30 years old, by the way. But before she was born, they found out she had like a tumor in her brain. And so she had to have a surgery before she was even born. They knew she was going to have like a shunt put in her head. And so being a radio DJ, you don't have insurance. So
Yeah.
not good insurance. And so I went ahead and I joined the military, joined the Army. And that way I had insurance. And so when my child was born and also she had all the medical care that and I kind of put my wants and my dreams aside for that point. It's now
Yeah.
your child. You have to take care of your kid now. And so I did that, and that's where I
Your
was at that.
priorities definitely change once you become
Yeah,
a parent.
I mean, yeah, I stepped up to the plate.
Hopefully. Anyways.
Yeah, I mean, my mother, she was always great. You better, she taught you that's your responsibility, and so I had a good upbringing. So that was number one to me at that point. So I joined the Army at that point. So
Yeah. And how long did you serve in the Army?
I was in for 10 years. Well, it wasn't exactly 10. It was supposed to be 8 years. And 9/11 happened. I was stationed in Hawaii. So it wasn't like the worst place. And when it happened, I was almost out. And because that happened, they have a thing called stop loss. So they basically say you're not going anywhere until further notice.
Mm.
So I ended up staying about another year, and then I got out. So I did about 9+ months in the Army. And then I moved to the Midwest, and I joined the police force, became a police officer. So I'm like, I've done a lot of things.
Yeah. So wow. So that is one, and I think that's kind of a natural career transition. I know a lot of folks in the military who decide to, because sadly, it is really difficult to find work, even outside of the military, and it shouldn't be that way. I'm not sure. I don't really understand the depths of that, so that's probably a whole other conversation. but
Yeah.
but I know just from people that I've seen experience that it is hard, and so that is a natural, if you're able to, if you have a good record and things like that, and you're able to join the police force. I know a lot of people do that, and
Yeah.
it's a stable career, being a parent, like you said, maybe dangerous, but
Yeah. I think my mother, I gave her an ulcer
yeah,
a
I
couple
was
times.
like,
I
anybody
mean, I
who
was in the Army, and I was deployed overseas and did some stuff there. And then, I finally got out of the Army, and then she's like, whew, thank goodness. What are you going to do now? I'm going to be a cop. What?
yeah,
So yeah, my mother, I gave it to her. She was always worried about me. She was always, you're my baby boy, whatever. I could be
yeah,
50 years old. It doesn't matter. But yeah, so I got out, and I was a police officer for 16 years, almost 17 years. I had gotten an injury, pretty good injury, a few years before, and it was really tough for me. It was a back injury, and it was hard for me to wear all the gear, and life was changed quite a bit for me after that. And so I went ahead and took an early retirement, and decided to do that. So that was fun. That was a big
yeah,
transition. Yeah.
yeah. And so 16 years as a cop, and I know that we can I guess talk a little bit about
Mhm.
your writing, or you've already finished your book.
Actually, not
Or
totally finished. I've
okay,
been
sorry.
working on it. Yeah, I've been working on my book for several years. It's one of those things where you start going, you get motivated, and then it's kind of like you wind down. You're like, and then it sits in the corner for a while, and then you get motivated and start writing it again. But I mean, I'm at this point now where I'm ready to finish it. It's just about done. I have like a publisher, someone who's interested in publishing it, and an editor and things like that. So it's going to be a collection of scary, funny, gross, weird, strange stories that occurred when I was a police officer. And
Yeah,
so, and there's some really good ones in there. So, um,
I love that. I'm super curious if there's anything you could like I don't want to do any spoilers,
oh
but
no, I could give you something.
okay.
There was, let me see how I should say this. Okay. Well, I mean, how about this? How about if I just give you a cat? You just give me like a category.
Okay, shit, poop. I don't know. Like there's gotta be some
Like you know
crazy.
what I mean, like scary, gross,
Gross,
funny,
gross.
gross.
Yeah.
Of course. Okay, it had to be the gross one. Um, okay. Actually, I have my notes right here for my book. So let me see. I'm looking at some of the ones here. Gross. You want gross, huh? You want gross? You're getting gross. Okay. Okay, I'll tell you one. Okay, so it was a really hot summer, and I don't give away in the book, and people are going to probably figure it out, and I just let the people do it themselves. But I'm not going to say what department I worked for, but it's in the Midwest. And anyway, so the Midwest, summertime, it's hot. Um, it was a Sunday, and the reason I know it was a Sunday is because, believe this or not, the most deaths occur on Sunday when you're a police officer. It's
I
no
do
kidding.
believe that because I
So
just Sunday, it's a weird day. Like some of the worst things have happened to me on Sundays. I don't know. Anyways,
And
yeah.
full moons, and it's true too. I can tell you this: full moons, when it's full moon, crazy stuff happens. I mean, I don't
Agreed.
care. People say,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's hokey," and I would have been one of those people too, but I've experienced that anyway. So, really hot summer. Um, there was a guy who had called 911 and said that his neighbor was an elderly man, I think in his 80s, maybe 90s, and wasn't in great health, and he wasn't answering the door, and his car was outside, and the mail was stacking up, and it wasn't looking good, right? So he called for us to go check. So I get there, knock on the door, nobody answers the door. I'm like, oh boy. I go to the back, and it's flimsy, so I decide to go ahead and kick the door in. Soon as I go in the house, I could smell. When you smell death, unfortunately, as a police officer, when you smell a dead body, you'll never forget it. It's just one of those things. So as soon as I went in the back of the house, I smell, this is gonna be a dead body. You can tell. So I'm in the house. It's summertime. There's no air conditioning on. It's really hot, and I got all this police gear on. I'm going down this. I'm going around. I'm looking around. It's kind of spooky because you're looking for a dead body. It's kind of spooky. So I'm going down the hallway. Get to the last room on the left. I peek in, and there he is. He's laying. He has his pants down to his knees, with his underwear too, and he's laying on his stomach, and it looks like he went to the bathroom on himself. I mean, that sounds gross.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, you said gross. Okay, so um, and I'm only laughing because I'm sorry.
No,
Anyway,
I hear you. No, I'm
I'm
with
not
you.
laughing at this poor guy. I'm just saying
No,
this.
I
Yeah.
understand. I do the same
For
thing.
most for most people, it's like I'm used to this is easy for me. I live this stuff, but some people don't ever see this stuff, so it's mind blowing to them that this happens. But anyway, so yeah, so I'm laying there and he's laying there, and I get on the radio and I told him start an ambulance because this guy's obviously not alive. And so I'm standing there and I'm looking at him, and I'm just thinking to myself, poor guy, it looks like he was probably on his way to the bathroom and fell, and as I'm thinking that, I see him breathe. And I'm like, wait a minute. And I see him breathe again.
No.
Now, here's a little back history. that I found out later, he was laying there for 3 days.
Yeah. I just say that's that's not
So I
breath.
go, so I go over there, and I'm like, now I get on the radio and let him know, you better hurry up. This guy's still, I mean, he's not doing good, but he's breathing. And so I'm just like, you're gonna be fine, man. You're gonna be fine. I'm patting him, I'm like just trying to keep him like, well, hell, he's there for 3 days. I'm sure a few minutes will be all right, right? So my partner gets there by this time, and we're just both standing there waiting for the ambulance. The ambulance finally gets there. They rush in. He's kind of in a corner of the room, and there's carpet on the ground and stuff. And so they have to move him to get him to work on him. So so he's kind of a big guy. So they grabbed him and they kind of scoot him a little bit further on the floor. And when they did that, probably about the size of a steak of his flesh and
Yeah.
skin stayed right there and removed
Yeah.
from his leg, and you could see his bones in his legs.
Yeah.
So literally, he was falling apart
Yeah.
because he
Yeah.
wasn't moving. And
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was something that could happen. So as I'm looking at this guy's big piece of meat, flesh laying on the carpet next to his body, it's not attached anymore. The smell went from like 0 to 1,000, like right now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
my partner almost knocked me over trying to get out of the room. They had the smelling salt, everybody's trying not to pass out. I'm actually, I don't know if I'm just a trooper or what, but I was just like, ooh, it stinks pretty bad, but that's all I had, it was pretty good. I'm being braggadocious here, but I mean, I wasn't going anywhere. And so, I don't, the truth is, I really don't even know what happened to this poor guy. I don't know if he lived
Yeah.
or he died later. I don't know. I have no idea. I just remember that was the weirdest, oddest thing. He was the deadest guy that was alive I've ever seen in my career.
Yeah.
So
I think he died. I think he was dead.
he probably
I
eventually,
think he was dead after that. Yeah.
yeah.
But the funny thing, so it's not funny. Again, I don't know why I said the funny thing. No, I
Yeah.
worked at an assisted living center. So I was a CNA, and elderly people, when they're not feeling well, they go to the bathroom, they go in that position. So actually a lot of elderly people die in that position.
Right. It was sad. It was sad.
Yeah, it's super sad.
He
Yeah,
was
because
so
they're like, I'm gonna go
dehydrated.
to the
Oh my God.
bathroom, because usually they're not feeling well or something, and then they're just there, yeah.
I'll
Ugh.
give you a bonus story if you want, but you got to pick a different category real quick.
Yeah, I'm good on gross.
That wasn't
Funny.
even
Let's
gross.
do funny. Let's switch gears. Funny.
Okay. Funny.
Yeah.
Okay. Which one would be funny? Now I'm starting to think what's funny to me and what's funny not funny to other people. So, because some of the stuff that's probably gross could be funny,
Yeah, I find gross funny too sometimes.
but I will try to keep it funny, not gross funny. Let's see. Oh man, it's like I keeps going back to like. Okay, funny. Okay, funny. This whole interview is me just sitting there going, I can't think of a dang story. I'm running the book and I can't think of one lousy story. Come on.
Anybody caught in any like really funny situations? I guess. I don't know.
Okay, well, this one, I mean, this will be funny to me
Okay.
because it may I don't know if it's funny to anybody else, but so we had this and I can't give the real names away, obviously. So, but
Right.
we had it was a female officer, and she was not Guamanian, but somewhere one of the islands that's like Guam. She's a shorter lady, and when I say short, and she was 4'7", I think.
Okay, that's short.
Yeah, and
because I'm 5'3" and I feel really short all my life.
No,
So
she was very. When you've seen her, you look. I mean, she would catch your eye, like, oh wow,
Yeah.
she's very short, good-looking lady, smart. She was in her 30s maybe early 30s at the time. But anyway, we had down in the main city where I lived. They had a big area where all the party would happen on the weekend, and unfortunately, the party would turn to fights and things like that. So they started a party patrol. So it was volunteer. You would get paid extra overtime, and so it was your not your regular duty day. It was a extra job. So,
Mhm.
but so I would work that occasionally. One night they had a huge bar brawl, and we're talking like, I don't know, 30, 40 people throwing chairs, glasses. Toward the end of the night, people drunk. And so they send us the patrol, right? Well, the short lady I was just talking about, she was also part of the patrol. We also had several other guys. So we get there, and there's just chairs flying and stuff, and we kind of make a plan. You guys ready to go? We got two people. We're gonna stay together. Two people per team. So I get stuck with her, of course. So, no offense to her. Bless you.
Oh, thank you. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. I saw you struggling. I was like, don't cry.
It's like I'm trying not to sneeze so hard. Keep
Hold on,
going.
hold on. You're a little on my screen here. So, yeah. So anyway, so we all go in and we start grabbing people. We're taking them out and things. And she gets up to these three guys, and they're pretty good sized guys, and she's small. And she tells them, turn around, put your hands behind your back. You're under arrest. And they just start laughing at her, like, this is really you. They send you, and they're cracking up, and they basically are ignoring her. So she comes running over to me. Well, I'm busy. So there's another police officer. I won't give you his name, but dude was like 6'6", 250 something pounds, pure muscle, ex-Marine, a former Marine, they call him. Just the toughest guy. He's like a John Wayne character, a guy you would be
Mhm.
happy was on your side, right? She tells him, she's like, help me. They won't help me, or they won't listen to me. I'm trying to arrest them. They're laughing at me. He's like, you know what? You're a police officer. You get in there. You're tough. You got the handcuffs. You tell them what to do and they'll listen. She's like, okay. So she goes back. She goes back and she walks up to him. She tells him what to do. And all of a sudden they get scared and they put their hands behind their back and they're listening to her. And she's like, her ego just went. I mean, she was like so proud. She's like, haha. But she didn't realize that the big guy I was just talking about was behind her looking at those three guys going,
Oh my gosh.
I will kill you if you don't listen to. And I word, and hopefully I word the story better than that, but it was pretty funny. It was one of those things that's just, sometimes life is funnier than and crazier than fiction, honestly.
Yeah.
It really is.
Oh, yes.
So many crazy
I
things have
know.
happened in my life. I feel like it's a movie almost. It's like
Well, especially when you've had some, the two careers so far that you've had, and then so you spent, I'm sorry, I saw a spider run into my house, my room from the
oh,
outdoor.
keep them there. I don't like spiders
And
either.
I'm just like, I'm not okay with this. I will find you later. I don't know where you are, but you will be escorted.
I will.
It was
Your legs off.
really big. Anyways, so yeah, so you spent 16 years working as an officer, and when you transitioned out of that,
Mm-hmm.
you did stand up, is that right, for a while, or did
Right.
you do that while you were an officer? How did that come into play? I'm curious.
I just played around with it when I was an officer. I had a buddy of mine, one of the childhood friends of mine. Um, always thought I'd be a good, I had a good sense of humor. He always said, "Man, you'd be good at this," And he had a friend that was a stand-up comedian. He started getting into it, and he wanted me to try it. Of course, he wanted me to try it first, of course, right? Um,
He's like,
and
yeah,
he
why
had,
don't you go up there
yeah,
and
you should go
figure
up
out
there
what
and
you
try it.
say for 5 minutes?
And then,
Yeah.
yeah, he motivates me, and he's been doing this our whole life, so including acting, which is funny. But yeah, no, he convinced me, hey, you should try it. So I just tried it and had fun. It was kind of a side thing I did, and when I retired, I decided, you know what? I like that feeling. I want to just live my second life here and do some fun stuff that I enjoy doing. My kids are grown.
Mhm.
So I got divorced around that same time. So I'm a free man. I can go do some stuff. And oh yeah, I went on a little comedy tour there for a while and had a good time. It was so much fun. And then I just started just decide I want to be an actor. So I mean, just like that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, um, how, what, what was like, I guess the first, because stand up can, when you are around that crowd, there's a lot of folks who there are so many. What I love about stand up is there are so many different types of people there for so many different types of reasons, but all kind of for the same reason, you
Mm.
know. So if you're crazy enough, I guess, to go up and do it more than, I don't know, a dozen times, then, you know, then,
Yeah.
or I don't know. I don't know anything, honestly. But like,
It's
I mean,
irritating. Yeah.
yeah. So, but you meet a lot of people who are strictly there, like they are strictly there to for a stand-up career.
Hmm.
Other people, it's that plus something else in addition, you know, and for some people it opens up a world of like, you know, acting, you know. And you said you were always a creative, you know, child, and you've always had that creative side. So I wonder if it just like kind of unlocked that creativity in you again, for you to kind of say, you know, I want to go that next step, or I want to go to shift to this path.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I've always, when I was young, we used to, I had some childhood friends. They're like my sisters. I've actually recently spoke with them again. We were laughing about the past all the time, but we used to put on little plays. We'd always put on little, like, we make our own music videos, and we'd go show our parents. We'd dress up, and I was the girl a lot of times, and they dressed me up, and then, we would just play
well,
dress
now
up. And,
you always you said one of the issues you get the villain, but you're such a nice, you know, awesome.
oh yeah,
So I want to be a non-villain.
that's right. It's funny because I always want to be a villain, because when I've been a good guy my whole life. I was a police officer. I was that you worked,
Yeah.
as a military. And I think I see myself as a genuinely nice guy. So it's funny that I would be a villain, but I always get cast as a villain.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had a couple where I wasn't, but I always fall into that villain hole there. It's like, that sounds like they'll describe it, and I'll be like, yeah, that sounds like me. I think I can do that. So, um, yeah,
But so your
that's funny.
sister, or your friends that you said, like your sisters,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
would make plays and stuff. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was funny, and it would just it started when I was young. We just always creating plays and acting, and I was never shy. And that helps. And I think it's like you said, being an only child. I think that's why we're not shy, because we enjoy talking to people, because we don't see people all the time. It's because usually
Yeah.
just our room, or something. So I
Yeah.
think I think we hit I hit that correctly when you
Well,
said that.
and also, I mean, I'm, you know, my being from, there's a lot of, I think a lot of factors that, um, that's why I love hearing people's stories of how they grew up, because I'm always curious of how, you know, we got to the same point, you know, of just meeting, you know. I don't know, I'm always curious about what brought somebody to where they are at that point that we met, I guess. And I have always seen that it looks different every time, but there's always something very significant that happens in each of our lives that I think really determines what choice we make when we're young, you know, especially in those younger years, you know,
Yeah,
and when we're growing, and trying out, you know, anything that comes our way, maybe, you know. So what is like your favorite, now that you've shifted to acting, what's been your, I guess, favorite experience so far, in terms of something that you didn't expect that you'd get out of it that you had, especially because one thing that I really appreciated when talking to you before was just your parenting, you know, and how much of a priority that plays even in your life now. You know, you talked about your kids and your
yeah,
grandkids, and
right.
you know, you light up when you speak about them. And so as a parent, you know, I have two kiddos too, and it's like that they are your priority, and but you also want to teach them it is important to pursue aspirations that matter to you. And
That's right.
what better way for them to see that than you doing it? So I guess, yeah, what's something unexpected that you just didn't know that you get out of it? Or are any of your grandkids, or, what do people in your family, I guess, think?
Well, I mean, the first question about
Yeah.
what I got out of it, I think, would be meeting a lot of amazing people, including yourself. Every single time I go on a new project, on a new set, whether it be film or TV or commercial or something, you just meet the coolest people that you don't expect. You always have this vision of people from, you see in movies, and they're all stuck up and they're all this kind of way and of all self, about themselves and everything. You're always going to meet those people regardless of where you're at. But I've been so lucky. I've been really blessed to meet the neatest people and learn. Every time I go on set, I learn from these people. But just, I didn't expect to like miss these people when I left. Like you get like this depression, and I've been told it's normal for actors for this to happen. But like you be on set, and then you don't see him anymore, and then it's like kind of like a dog sits home and waits for his owner, and when he sees me so
Yeah.
happy, man, I'm calling myself a dog here. I'm missing these people. I'm like a little puppy, like, where are they at, man? I thought this was gonna go on forever.
Yeah.
But and then you got to keep busy as an actor. I see that as
Yes.
the way you get past this depression is just constantly work. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
my kids and my family thinks it's funny. So yeah,
Yeah.
they just think it's weird. But yeah, no, I think it's influenced my kids to, because I think my son has like been thinking about what his life choices and what he does. He works in the medical field, but he has a love for something else.
Hmm.
And told me since I've done this, he's like, Dad, I think I want to try that. I'm like, hey,
That's
I'm not gonna stop you.
amazing.
That's great.
I
So,
love that. That's
mm,
so awesome, and
so yeah.
yeah.
So just being open, just letting your kids be kids, and let them make mistakes and things like that, instead of trying to control what they are going to be in the future, because eventually they're going to figure it out. You know what I mean? And I'm not
Yeah.
saying let them be drug dealers or
Letting
let
them
them be,
know that there's
crazy people or
options.
something, but
Yeah.
like that.
Just letting them know that there's options. There's so many options in life. There's so many times where my kids will be like, "Oh, I think that's really cool." And then I'll be like, "Oh, did you know that was a job? Like that's an actual job that somebody
Yeah.
does?" And I try to let them know that it's also just as much work. Doesn't mean the work is any like less. Um, you know, Trying to find gigs as an actor is like really,
It's
it's a
definitely what draws a lot of
yeah.
people.
So, it's still work. You have to put the work into it. But if it's what you want to do, you're going to do that work anyways for somebody else. So
That's right.
you get to decide where you put that work, and sometimes it's both.
Mhm.
Sometimes you have to, sacrifice a little bit, and sometimes it's putting it on hold because you have a family. So it's just never letting go of it, I think, and being consistent,
Mhm.
and just, continuing to try.
Yeah, I mean, I've always dipped my toes in different pools, and sometimes I jump in, and sometimes I slowly move in and then get out. But I mean, I've always tried new things all the time. I've never been closed-minded. My kids have always encouraged them to do the same, and so that makes them more diverse. They can't just, well, if one of their dreams is ruined, that their life isn't ruined now. Now they have some backup plans. I just explained to my kids, you got to have a bunch. You live all your dreams. You don't have to live
Yeah.
just one. Do them all. At least try.
Yeah.
And so you only live once.
And you'll
Hopefully,
know quickly if you don't like doing something after the nostalgia or the excitement goes away of the idea,
mhm,
oh, I'm finally doing this idea. After a year or more of doing that idea consistently, you'll figure out if it's something that you would be able to do long term or not.
yeah,
And
yeah,
just listen. I tell my kids that just listen to yourself. If
mhm,
it doesn't work, then don't beat a dead horse,
that's
either,
right.
you
Yeah,
know.
and if you go after something, go after it. Don't
Yes.
have to go out. If you're gonna go, like I told my son, if you're gonna go after something like an arrow, just go right for it. because if you take your time and stuff and kind of sort of do it, you're not going to really get experienced. What that's like. I didn't want to be a kind of an actor sometimes, and there's no offense to people that do it sometimes. I want to do it all the time. It's just
Yeah.
something I want to do, and
And you're doing it full time. That's your full time
yeah,
job right now. Yep.
that's right. Yeah, and so that means if I don't find work, then I don't pay the bill.
Then you
So
don't work. Yeah.
that's right. Yeah. So that sometimes being hungry is the best way to be. When you're not hungry, you just, you're relaxed and you're not as serious. I like being hungry all the time. So I just want to remember what it's like to be hungry. So I'm just constantly working and trying and improving myself as an actor instead of just
Yeah.
thinking, oh, I've made it. I don't have to do anything anymore. So,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
you're never going to stop learning as an actor. You'll never catch up with I'm 50 years old. I'm starting at 50. There's no way in heck I'm going to be able to catch up with these actors that have been doing it their whole life. The
Yeah.
best I can do is just learn as much as I can and
Well,
do as
one
much.
of those websites that you put me on to in terms of trying to find gigs and stuff like that, it's so cheesy. I don't know why. But like sometimes I'll glance at the emails that they send and I don't know who their person is that writes them or if it's Chat GPT. I have no idea. But they're actually pretty good because it just talks about like it talked about how Winston Churchill was like however old before he won his first election. It just kind of talked about that. And you know, I think that it's just like anything in life, losing weight, changing a habit, any of those things take time for long-term
Mhm.
success. There's a process, and usually it's a long-term process. And within that process, there's like layers, So
Yeah,
once you hit one thing, then you learn another thing, and
that's
it's
right.
just continuing. So I think all of your experiences, it's so weird how life works that way, but and I love the full circle, the way that life can go full circle if we
Right.
sometimes follow that path. And so when you were like in adolescence, when you were like 11 or 12, what
hmm
were you like still in that creative mode, or your mom was in the military? So were you more like in what did you see yourself being at that around adolescence age? Like,
What I saw my job doing.
yeah, like, or just, yeah, who did you think you would be, or what did you see yourself being or doing? Sure.
It's
Yeah.
actually really funny. It's actually really funny. Um, it's so funny now that I'm thinking about it. It's really funny. I wanted to be we lived in California and we went to Disneyland I was very lucky being an only child. It's a lot easier to go on vacation with one kid opposed to many kids. I know this for a fact because I had kids. But so we'd go to Disneyland every year when I was a kid. So I've been to Disneyland so many times, as a kid. But every time I thought my future job was going to be, I wanted to work at Disneyland. I wanted to be one of the mascots.
I love that.
I wanted to be like Donald Duck or Mickey Mouse or something, just walking around in the suit and just, as a kid, there's somebody in there, that.
Yeah.
So like I wanted just to, because that goes back to my entertaining. It's just I always wanted to do that. But yeah, I thought that for many years. I thought that's what I wanted to do.
I love
Uh,
that. You know what? I see in your future, I see like you playing a mascot somehow as a coach. Like somehow you end up in a mascot suit
hey,
somewhere.
I would
It's
not be
somewhere
mad.
down the
Like,
line.
bucket
Like
list, bucket
in
list.
some funny sitcom somewhere, there is you and a mascot. Like
It doesn't mean, hey, I've done a lot of things in my life that I said I was going to do. I haven't done that yet, so you never know. That would be pretty funny, actually.
that would be really cool. Yeah.
If
And
I
so
had
you
the
have
opportunity,
a pretty, go ahead. Sorry.
no, I said if I had an opportunity to do that, that would be really cool. It'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a project that is coming out in the fall called GPS.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what you can, but yeah, if you want to talk about that a little bit, you can.
I actually had a small part in it, but it's a supporting role. It was I play the sergeant, the police officer sergeant, which was very easy for me being a former officer. which was it was weird being in a police uniform again. It's always weird. But I don't want to give the whole movie away, but
Yeah.
it's basically about a couple that wants a baby. Medically, the man has medical issues where he can't. So they pray. They're very religious. They pray to God and just they hope that their prayers are answered. Meanwhile, there's a young lady who's 16, something like that, has a baby, lives on her own, single mom, is struggling, and let's just say that she's not able to handle it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so her and the couple, that couple and her, something happens,
Okay.
and their lives kind of come together. And
Yeah.
so,
And it's
I just
coming
have
out this fall, right? This fall.
yeah, I think it's coming out. Well, it's going to be in film festivals first. I don't know. I
Okay.
know I think it's going to be. I don't want to say anything. I don't want to say the
Yeah.
wrong thing. I think
Yep,
in
yep,
October it's going to be some film festivals, and it's
Yeah.
going to go through that first, and then I'm not sure where it's going to land after that. So
Right. Yeah. But that's exciting.
yeah. Oh yeah.
That's really exciting. And to get that experience and under your belt and just be able to, like you said, connect with other people who
Oh,
are
yeah.
pursuing the same thing. So
Yeah. And I've
yeah.
always been a really helpful person, and it's in my personality. I like to help people like yourself, and that's my mom. It's my mom made me a kind of a motherly person, but yeah, I like to help other actors too. So if I was to find a part that, man, I think you would be good for, I would send you a message and go, hey, look at this, you'd be great for this. So if you make a lot of contacts and do that, and they do that for you, you guys can take care of each other. So
That's
it's
what I
kind of
love about
tight
the
net, tight
community.
net.
Yeah. Even just the community, that the group of people that we worked with on, the commercial, it's like,
Yeah.
I love seeing everybody sharing what they're doing, or just any projects that might be available.
Mhm.
I really like that a lot. I wish I had all the time in the world to do all of these auditions, but that's where that holding pattern comes in. And I have come to appreciate, or learn to appreciate, by having conversations with other people, that space, that waiting space, and not fight it so much. Because I think the quicker that, even working as a CNA, being around just people older in age, I think the quicker that you can learn to kind of live in that waiting space, and not fight it, the more you'll learn and gain through the process.
Yeah, I agree. I totally
So,
agree with that.
because it really sounds like all of your experiences really led you to, where you are, and being able
Mhm.
to pursue this next chapter of your life. Because really, look at J-Lo. 50 is what the new 20. So it's like,
Right. Right. I don't have a nice butt like J-Lo. I'm working on it. I'm working on
yeah.
it.
Yeah. But well, you better work on your squats then. So
That's right. Hey, never skip leg day. Remember that. It's
yeah,
tough.
exactly.
Uh,
Yeah.
that's one of my least favorite, I think. So what advice would you give me on that?
On what, leg day?
Yeah, like if they say I wake up and I'm like, you know what, Duane, I don't want to do leg day today. I'm gonna skip leg day today.
I say, suck it up, Buttercup. That's
I
the
need you. Can
fitness
I
coach
borrow you
coming
for?
out
Can
of
I
me.
borrow you for about a year? I just need you to wake me up every morning with that, just like that, on leg day. Wake up, Buttercup! Like, oh.
Yeah, I'd say, suck it up, go get it done. No,
Yeah,
but
leg day is definitely not my favorite. So
arm day for me.
arm day.
Yes, we're working on getting a hanging, well, we have one, but we don't have the space to put it up right now, where you can hang and kind of practice with that. So I can start working on some you can do the dumbbells and stuff all you want, but like in kettlebells, but you can't really get the same from mastering that pull up, and I don't know. So
Yeah. Oh, I
that's a
agree with
piece
you.
of my
Yeah, pull
memory.
up.
I've never been able to really do that. So that is what I'm going to master when we get that thing up, whenever we're in our home. So
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, pull ups. I tell you what, pull ups will definitely work you out. I mean, those are certain exercises that are just the best, but the best are always the hardest. So
Yeah.
your pull-ups, your dead weight or your deadlift and your squats, and it's like, and those are all at least my least favorites, of
Yeah.
course, but I try to work out myself, try like 5 days a week, pretty much. So
Good for you.
yeah, I
Yeah.
work out. Yeah, and that because I'm older now, and I know that my body's not what it used to be, and I have to. If I'm going to do this acting thing, I need to keep my
Yeah.
body going. You know what I
Well,
mean?
and it's very tiring, even just,
Oh yeah.
I mean, even like just the commercial that we did, it was a
Mhm.
simple 8-hour day, but I was exhausted after that. And I wasn't even like in a character or anything, I mean, I was in a shopper character, but like, it wasn't the amount of engagement that you get like after a day of going through lines and remembering
Right.
your lines and all those things. So yeah. Um,
It definitely takes a toll on your body.
mhm.
I did a feature film, and it was like 3 weeks, and they were 12, 13-hour days, and summertime and the heat, and you're sweating all the time, and as soon as you're done with the day, as soon as you get back to your bed, your sleep, you wake up, it's time to do it again. But I mean, it's so much fun in between also, but like standing at one spot for 3, 4 hours can, like you said, I mean, you got your legs. I
Yeah.
mean, working out definitely helps. And
Well, and even as an extrovert, that amount of stimulation of just talking to other people all day long and that kind of engagement is really just even mentally tiring, and I'm pretty extroverted, but I can get drained after a full day of socializing or
right.
engaging with other people. You can kind of, I don't know, I believe we kind of can kind of take, not, I don't want to get all woo, but like we can like definitely take on other people's energies and things like that. So like,
Oh yeah.
we just
Yeah,
have
yeah,
to
yeah.
like kind of decompress and
Mhm.
really
Yeah.
um kind of shed a lot of that at the end of the day. So it's tiring on multiple levels for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. Yeah, and like you said, taking other people's problems and things. I mean, you see the problems throughout the day on the set, not stuff that you're going through, but other people going through, and at the same time, you're memorizing lines, and I mean, it's just a lot going on, and
Hmm.
it's easy to get sucked up into everybody's stuff too, because you want everybody to do really well on this
Yeah.
project, so you're rooting for them, and so you're putting a lot of your energy into other people,
Yeah.
but you can do it. You can do it. Come on, in hopes to reciprocate that later. For yourself, and you get it. They usually do. But yeah, man, it's draining. That's no lie. It's no
Yeah.
lie.
What's something you do? And I know we're kind of wrapping up here, but what's
That's
something
fine.
you do to, is it spending time with family, with your grandkids? What is something that you do to kind of like, even if you are just, your time in the military, your time as an officer, what is something that you do to help yourself decompress that helps you shift and kind of, shift into your own energy and your own space?
Couple things. I mean, music. I will lay on my bed. I have headphones, and I'll hook them up to my music, and I have like playlists and things. Or and working out. Working out helps. Is a big one for me, and I'm listening to music as I'm working out too. So just I think that and getting a lot of rest too. Something that I didn't get a lot of when I was young because of the kids and stuff. So I'm older now. I take naps. I know that I shouldn't
Don't
admit.
talk now. I don't want to hear about now.
I should admit that. But no, just getting rest and relax. Getting my mind off all the troubles that and only worry about things that I can change right now and not stuff in the future. That's really a hard one. I think as you get older, you find a way to do that. Because when you're younger, you're constantly just your mind won't shut down. So I'm
Yeah.
finding it easier to refine it. I'm finding it easier to relax than I did when I was younger. I think which I think is great. I'm sleeping better. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
No,
But
that makes a lot of sense. And it goes back to what I was saying, where I'm trying to take on habits now that are more like that, of quieting my mind a little bit. So that's why I do breath work. And I spent the last kind of 3 years really but I would say a good solid 2 years of focusing consistently, not daily, but definitely multiple times a week, practicing breath work and meditation, at times daily. And now it's kind of like when I feel overwhelmed, I will stop it. Like now I don't do it the same way that I did
Hmm.
in terms of really working through that and training my mind and my body to shift and take on new patterns of thinking. But sometimes I need to, but now it's just like, yeah, because that is the only way I have found for me personally to like slow my mind down, to quiet it, is if I just take some like really solid deep breaths where I like just look at the birds or a tree
Yeah.
or like,
Yeah. I
or
mean, meditation is, I mean, for
yeah.
people, I mean, it's just breathing and concentrating. It doesn't have to be, people like to, compare like meditation to like devil worship or something like that. It's not, it's just
Oh
breathing.
no, yeah.
People think you're hokey when you do it. It's like, I'm not hokey because
No, yeah.
meditation is not hokey. It's you're relaxing. It's how to relax your mind and your body. It has nothing to
Our
do with,
nervous system, in
yeah,
fact, that's really a lot of the way our nervous system. I wish they would teach more of this in school, and I think they're starting to, but I wish, I don't know. That's a whole other conversation too, but just because to me it's more in tune with biology than just simple breath work. It's actually our bodies are, designed to,
well, we all know about endorphins and
yes.
adrenaline, and our body can release a lot of different chemicals to make it do different things. And so if you can
Mhm.
learn how to focus and relax, and you can release some of the serotonin and things in your body,
Yeah.
you can be a happier
Yeah.
person. But I think it comes with age. I've
Yeah.
talked to other family members that are older, and they say when you get older, you don't worry as much. You know, I'm
That's
kind
what,
of
yeah.
middle. I can't wait for that to be completely true right now. So
Yeah. I think that's where I'm at. I'm like, you know what? I want to try my hardest to just, I'm not there yet. I definitely, my
yeah,
kids will be the first to tell anybody that I worry way more than I need to,
yeah.
or
I think
maybe,
that's a mother thing. Mothers worry about their kids, and I get it.
yeah.
And I can't, being my mom with my rock, I get it. So I try to be like that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. But music and working out too. Yes, I think, uh, I, I love music, and it's super helpful. And it was one of the things that helped me the most, I would say, during my adolescence. I don't want to say the most, but it helped me a lot during my adolescence.
Hmm.
And was something that always gave me peace or
Yeah.
calming, or just would, yeah, shut my brain down a little bit.
Oh
And
yeah, I used to make playlists with my little tape recorders and on the radio and all that stuff.
did
Yeah.
you have to, and you would have to make sure you stopped the song before the DJ came on,
Yeah,
like
and
when
well,
you were
the
recording?
mixtape, and you would give your mixtape to your girlfriend or your friend, and this is my love mixed, whatever.
I
Music's a
actually
part of my
did
life.
make mixtapes, so I'm right on the cusp, I think, of being able to have said that. Or yeah, I'm 36, so I don't know if I would say anybody probably 34 and younger maybe experience that. And that might be it, but because yeah, definitely CDs were still like new.
Hmm.
So my older sister taught me how to make, I think she was the one who taught me how to make mixtapes, I'm pretty sure. Um and so yeah, because you would have, the DJs would go start speaking before the song was over, so you had to be
Right.
really quick and
You're like,
like,
and it's so funny because I end up doing that same job, and I used to get so mad about that too. And then what was I doing when I became a DJ? I'm talking over,
and
you
you're
know,
like, this is Michael McCoy.
that's
Like,
a play all your favorite television variety 90 FM, stuff like
oh,
that.
is that your radio voice? Okay.
I do voice acting too, so I do all these little silly. I do the announcer voices and all that stuff.
That's
Trailer.
fun.
I did a trailer one time. It was really funny. To cheesy horror flick trailer voice thing. It was pretty funny, but
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah. And do you have any projects coming up, or if anybody's interested in booking you or just
Um,
learning more about you, what?
well,
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, they can go to my IMDb Pro, or you just go to IMDb and look up Duane Michaels, Duane Michaels, Michael with an S at the end. And I also am on Backstage, and I'm also on Actors Access and Direct Submit and Casting Call America. But I mean, if you want to learn about a lot of the stuff in my projects, go to IMDb. Um, as for projects coming up, I just finished a TV show called Spilled Paint for Tubi. Tubi, it'll be, I believe it's going to be Tubi's first TV show that they've produced themselves.
That's
Um,
exciting.
it is exciting. I play Zuri, the Russian mob boss. It comes out, I believe, November 15th, and there'll be 6 episodes. Definitely don't want to miss the last episode. That's the bit.
Okay.
That's the cool one. But no, you want to watch the whole show. Brandon Gibson is the director, producer, writer. He acts in it. He's amazing. Look him up. He's so awesome. Anyway,
So
and
still
then I'm
on
sorry, and then
TV.
I'm working on some short films myself. Um, and I have a couple other projects that I can't say anything about, but I do have a lot of stuff coming up. I just try to stay busy all the time. But Spilled Paint, November 15th on Tubi. Definitely want to see that.
Okay,
That's a
awesome.
big one.
Awesome. That's exciting. 6 episodes on Tubi. Okay. And you
Yeah.
said November 15th for that one?
Yeah, I think that's when it's projected. If it could be a day or two off, but that's when it's supposed to be, I think, finished and ready to go.
Okay.
So
All right. I will look out for like a trailer or anything so I can share that. And
yeah, I'll
that's
send you some information once I start seeing that. But
okay.
you can look it up online, look up Spilled Paint. And I believe, they're on Instagram. We have an Instagram page to Spilled Paint. You'll see me on there as Zuri, and it'll
Okay.
show some of the shooting footage and stuff, and kind of get an idea of what's going on. So
Awesome. Okay.
mhm.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
so much.
coming.
I
I know
appreciate it.
it's a late night. I always say that, but thank you because I always appreciate anybody who, comes. I record when my kids are, in bed. So thank
I get
you.
it.
And it was cool. I know I learned about a lot about you the day we, shot, but it's nice to learn even more about you. And anytime you want to come back on, you're welcome to. So
I'll definitely, yeah, I'd love to, and I'll keep you in contact with all the stuff I'm doing, and if
yeah,
something big happening, I'll let you know. Appreciate it.
for sure. And we got our Camp World Creepers group chat, so we're good. All
That's awesome.
right. Good night, Duane.
Bye. You have a good night.
Bye.